Hola, buenas tardes. Good evening. Welcome to En Casa con la Plaza. This is La Plaza de Cultura's virtual programming tonight, a special edition of Dan Guerrero Happy Hour. My name is Abelardo de la Peña Jr. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. This is our third year of virtual programming. We've been Zooming since April of 2020, and this is maybe about number 80 Dan Guerrero Happy Hours. We're happy that you've joined us today. If you're on Zoom, you could use the chat feature right there to ask questions, make comments, shout outs, lo que sea. We'll take your questions and we'll present them to Dan and our special guest after their conversation. If you're on Facebook, use the comment feature to do the same. Let us know who you are, where you're viewing from. We welcome you. We'll try to make it as interactive as possible. We'd like to thank our February 2020 En Casa sponsors, Union Pacific Foundation and Kaiser Permanente. But before we get started, let me share a couple slides with you about what's going on at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. This Friday, La Plaza de Cultura y Artes presents Conga Patria Son Jarocho Collective. They just won a Grammy Award this past week for Best Latin Jazz Album, along with Arturo Ofarril and the Afro Latin Orchestra. It'll be Son Jarocho at its best, ending with a fandango. So bring your guitarra, jarana, guitarrón, even one of those dancing boxes. The MC, Beto Arcos. This is this Friday, February 10th at 7 o'clock, and it's free with food available for sale by Tirsa's Mexican Cafe. The following day, we have on Saturday, February 11th, documentary Jamaica y Tamarindo, Afro Tradition in the Heart of Mexico. It'll be with a special guest, Ebony Bailey, the documentary's director. And it's, of course, in honor of Black History Month, taking place in the month of February. And finally, at Grand Park, our partner there on Grand Avenue, right across from City Hall, is Lovers Rock, a special event for Valentine's Day. You could come and enjoy a special pop-up gallery of the Legacy of Cacao exhibition, which we currently have at La Plaza Cocina. Free live music with DJ Puffs, instrumentalist Low Leaf, fun family-friendly activities, vendors, screen printing, a flower market, paint your own cookie kits, a photo booth by Las Fotos Project, and much, much more. So check it out. It starts at 7 o'clock, at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. Enough of me, enough of what's going on in La Plaza. Now let's bring aboard the host of Dan Guerrero's Happy Hour, El Señor Dan Guerrero himself. Please zoom in, Dan.
Thank goodness you didn't introduce me as you did one time as the hostess with a mostess. That was not good.
Pretty phony, huh? But hey.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, your programming never ceases to amaze me. It's fantastic, all that you have there.
Oh, and this is just the beginning. Much more to come.
Wow. Fantastic. Fantastic. You have a good week?
I sure did. Yeah, it's been, well, actually, we've been very busy there at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, getting everything ready for the year. So we're starting to print up our calendars that we'll be able to hand out. Just this last weekend, we had SoCal Museums, which is a group that we belong to, had an event called Free for All. We had more than 600 people come over on Sunday alone, which was a record for us. And we welcome a lot of first-time visitors. And we welcome everybody out there who hasn't been to La Plaza to come on down.
Fantastic. Well, good for you. Good for you. We have oh, you know what? Before we get to tonight's guest, which is so special, I've been so excited and so nervous because I want it to be perfect. So, but before we get to tonight's guest, let's talk about our next guest, which will be on February 23rd. Susie Garcia, mariachi maven. An early pioneer of the modern all-female mariachi band movement back in the 90s, and she founded Las Colibri shortly thereafter, and it's an all-female string ensemble, and she's got an amazing backstory. It'll be an interesting look at women in mariachi, which of course was completely male-oriented forever, but that's changing, as we know. So that'll be a good one.
Oh yeah, and she's a frequent visitor with along with. In fact, she's been on stage several times with Las Colobri, and they're a fantastic ensemble.
They are fabulous. They are fabulous. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. But let's do tonight. I'm really excited about that. So you should take a little adios.
All right,
I'll
we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, so this is a very special night for me and for you all too. Homeboy Industries is the largest and by far the most successful gang rehabilitation and re-entry program in the world, in the mundo, the whole world. And all of it began a little quietly, really, back in 1988, when Father Greg Boyle, then pastor at the Dolores Mission in Boyle Heights, could see the gang problem, as everyone could. And he met with local community leaders and the parish, and they wanted to provide opportunities. They wanted to provide jobs, hope for gang youth. We're going to talk all about that eventually led to Homeboy Industries. But first, we're going to see a little short video that was actually created. It's a salute to Greg Boyle. And it was created by La Plaza staff member Mario Hernandez. And it features a former gang member and now a very well-known rap artist, MCD, D-E-E. So let's take a look at this, and then we'll meet our guest.
Who remembers the time that Father Greg came around? Straight stranger to the hood, we didn't know he was down. Talking change for our people, there's no way we can trust. All I heard was blah blah, there's a future for us. Coming around the block, he always made me uneasy. I used to hear him speak, he always sounded so cheesy. Talking this, talking that, man, this dude wouldn't stop. All we thought in our minds, this bald man was a cop. Trying to be a superhero, Batmobile was a bike. Seen him coming like Devo, it's time to take a hike. Rolling tough, I seen this man had no fear, and in that moment in our life, we chose to welcome him here. G-Dog, that's the name he was given. He's now a part of the hood. This man was always stay driven. In the line of fire, he never ran away. He risked his life for our people, for a brighter day.
Zoom in, Father Gregory Joseph Boyle. Hello there.
Dan, my old friend, 30 years.
Isn't that amazing? We go back a long way.
Yeah, you look better than I do.
Oh, I wouldn't say that at all. It's true. When we first met, we both had dark hair, you know, but we're going to touch on that a little later in the Zoom. You must have seen that video before.
Oh, yeah. He's a kid named Dino. I know him since he was a little kid. I don't know what he was doing, but he came and he filmed something at, you know, later on, he puts the music in. He just came by to visit, and it turned into that. And he stole footage from 60 Minutes. So I'm sure he'll be hearing from them.
You know, you think you're kidding, but when Eddie almost guested on the show, and I took a little video that was on Eddie's website. And I played it, and in the middle of it, when we streamed, boom, they killed it on Facebook because the video belonged to Universal Pictures.
Oh my gosh!
So they do watch; it's automatic. So you know,
yeah, that won't happen. He'll be fine.
I hope so. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. Well, I want to toast you and thank you so much for being here today. You have a beverage.
Sure. I have water. Thank you.
Yeah, rats. That's all right. I got.
I know. I'm
I'll tell you,
martini fan, but I'd be sound asleep if I had a martini right now. So
well, I'm going to confess to you, and I haven't been in a confessional since 1957, but I am going to confess to you, this is water too. I've never said it on air, but it's water because I want to be alert myself. So I now have confessed. You know, usually I get to the more personal side of the person himself before their accomplishments. We get to we do all that, and the personal life is usually well into the hour. But in this case, I think we're going to start there. Because I think people want to know a little bit about you, the man, and it also makes it very clear the trajectory and the journey that became Homeboy Industries. So we're going to start there. And I don't know why I was surprised. I thought you were from back east, but you're born and raised here in LA. You're an LA guy, right?
Yeah, I was born here. All my 8 sibs, my parents and their parents.
Wow.
So we go way, way back.
Wow. Yeah, I know you 8 siblings. That must have been some table at dinner, huh?
It was a manicomio. It was a madhouse.
Boys, girls, mix, all of one?
Yeah, 5 girls and 3 guys.
And
I'm right in the middle.
Oh, the middle child. They sometimes carry baggage, I hear.
No, they're the balanced ones because they're in the middle.
It would make sense, I would
Yeah,
think.
of course.
Now, Irish Catholic, so I assume you were brought up strict Catholic, I guess.
Yeah, you know, in those days, you mentioned confession in 57. So I was born in 54. And so I had the nuns, and we were kind of a Norman Rockwell painting, walking to church. You know, it was 2 by 2,
Wow.
8 of us, my parents, and you know, and church was like 2 blocks away, so we all walked there every Sunday. So anyway, it was I wouldn't say it was like strict in that sense. I mean, it was, you know, we did all the things that folks did in the 50s and the 60s.
Sure. In doing my research, and especially following your education, and if I may, I'll do a little quick thumbnail here. Loyola High School, and right from there you entered the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, then a long list of theology studies where you earned a Master of Divinity and a Master of Sacred Theology degrees, which all seem to me to be a pretty straight path, leading me to believe that you may have had a very early calling to be a priest. Was it an early calling for you?
Well, I guess, but that was kind of what you did in those days. I mean, that wasn't so out.
I went to East LA College. I didn't go to study theology.
It wouldn't happen now, you know, but I mean, it's sort of, you know, again, that was 50 years ago. But I also, somewhere in there, I got an MA in English. So I taught English, I taught writing. So, you know, it wasn't all theology.
But you were ordained a priest in 1984. So it seems to me that you jumped in pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, Jesuits also take a long time in studies, you know, so I think it was 13 years before so that I got ordained. But yeah, and I was the youngest pastor of a Catholic parish in the history of the diocese. I presume I still hold that record. I don't know, but the bishop who you have to sign a kind of a book, and I went to the archdiocese, and Bishop Ward was there, and he said, "You do know you're the youngest pastor in the history of the diocese," which I actually didn't know. But
wow. Now, after you were ordained, you actually first went to Bolivia for a year, right?
That's right, yeah. And that kind of changed my heart, and a time of great conversion to the poor, and I was supposed to go to Santa Clara University to kind of run their service program. And I just begged my provincial to send me to work with the poor. And at that point, I had enough Spanish. So he sent me to Dolores Mission, and I guess I thought I'd be like the number 3 priest, and I ended up being, everybody else had bailed. So there I was.
Wow. Wow. That was your first parish here, the Dolores Mission, which
That
at
was
that
my only
time,
parish. I've never been a pastor again. I just was pastor from 86 to 92
right, at the mission there. And
at
when you,
Dolores.
well, we have a photo from about that time of the mission. There still was a bell tower. And I know the parking lot now is a plaza. Tell me about that young man that you were, and when you first arrived at the mission, which at that time was the poorest Catholic church, I think, in the entire city. When you arrived, you know, this young man, what was your first impression? How did you feel? Tell me.
Well, I had spent 2 summers there, so I was there right after I was ordained. 84, I barely spoke Spanish, and then I was there again 85, and I was just kind of falling in love with the people, and then after Bolivia, and I had to go and do another year of theology to finish my degree. So then that's when I kind of begged my provincial, but you know, the issues were different in the earliest days, you know, because the gang thing hadn't reared its head in the way that it ultimately did. But so immigration was a big thing, you know, the Immigration Reform and Control Act and amnesty and family separation. And so we were, you know, a lot of protests and chaining ourselves to the jaula at the federal building, and hunger strikes in the church. So that was kind of the early years, you know, before in 1988 was when I first buried a kid who had been killed because of gang violence. And so, and then I started, you know, burying lots and lots and lots of kids. So that's kind of how it evolved.
Well, that was known, unfortunately, as the decade of death, that late 80s into the 90s, where that area had the highest concentration of gang activity in the entire city. 8 gangs at war in that small area there at the same time.
Yeah, which was unheard of, because even other public housing projects in Los Angeles County, you might have one gang, and they kind of control that projects, and maybe their enemies were outside it. But we had 8 within those 2 contiguous, the largest grouping of public housing west of the Mississippi. So that was kind of unique. And the LAPD called my parish the place of the highest concentration of gang activity in the whole city. So it grew to be quite intense.
Well, and there was that terrible year, the year of the LA riots, when they had 1992, they had 1,000 killings in the city of Los Angeles, not just there, but 1,000.
Yeah, and not 1,000 gang related
Yes.
homicides. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
Well,
they had other homicides, but you know,
gang related specifically.
yeah.
Well, ironically, because that's the year we actually met, was 1992.
Was it 92? Huh? Okay.
It was either 92 or 93. I think it was 92.
No, it
And
wouldn't have been 93, because I left in 92, and somehow I thought it was earlier, like 90
maybe it
or
was 91. Maybe it was 91.
Yeah, I left in August of 92. But I can't remember stuff, but I remember you and Paul Rodriguez, and I was telling somebody about it today, you know, because there was a filmed piece. Do you remember that? And then there was the concert piece.
Right. What it was, how we met is that Paul, we were going to do a television special about gangs, and you became my contact for the East Side gangs. And I had a contact with the Crips and the Bloods and all that. And I was dealing with all these gangs everywhere. And that's when you and I met, because you were the one identifying people that would, you know, young men that would want to tell their stories on camera and everything. And I remember vividly so many of our times together, and one in particular, because you had identified various young men, and then I chose from that, and I chose one young man who was extremely articulate, very bright, and he was very open about his current status. It wasn't past. He was a serious gang member at that time. And I remember we were going to film him in the LA River. You know how the walls have the graffiti on the side?
Yeah.
And I met him. We had our talk. We said yes. And then I think we were set to film like 2 weeks later, if that long off. It was very close to that. And you called to tell me he had been killed.
Gosh, I
In
can't
that-
remember. Can't remember who that was.
I wish I could remember his name. I can see his face, and it couldn't have been more than a week or 10 days from when I
Yeah.
met him, and he'd been killed in that time.
That's right.
And
that's
that
right.
really made it real for me and Paul too, you know. And
Yeah.
in fact, what we did is we shot, I shouldn't say the word shot, we filmed Paul in that location where that young man was going to be, and it was deep.
Yeah, I know. I remembered that. I'd love to see that. It's
I'm sure you can't remember
it
all
might
of
have been
them.
Richie. Anyway, because there were so during that time. Once I had 8 funerals in a 3-week period, and so it was nonstop, especially at that time. It was quite intense. And then we had the event at what's it called?
The
Yeah,
John Anson Ford.
Yeah, John Anson Ford. And I
Wonderful.
remember I was exceeding, I don't even think I ever told you how nervous I was about it, because there were all these gang members. I thought, I'm not sure this is such a good idea, but it went well.
You know, when I got nervous, we actually had school buses go to these various locations,
Yeah.
and all they knew is they were going to the filming of a Paul Rodriguez concert. That's all they knew.
Yeah.
And people were frisked before they got on the buses. And then when they arrived at the John Anson, the special was a mix of documentary footage and concert footage. And when
Yeah.
they arrived at the Anson Ford, there were about 100 police cars in the parking lot as they got out. And I felt very comfortable until intermission. And when they all got up and started to go to the men's room, I thought, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But that's when I really freaked, but
Yeah.
it went beautifully.
Yeah, I was freaking the whole time, but Paul was great, and you were terrific. And I don't remember much, but I just remember feeling quite anxious.
Yeah, it was deep. It was called Paul Rodriguez Crossing Gang Lines. Of
That's
course,
right.
I was the one in the hood and meeting with guys and drive-bys.
Totally.
That
Totally.
the concert
Yeah.
was the least of it. By that time, I was seasoned.
Yeah.
So it's I don't say that exactly that's how Homeboy started, but I would imagine the genesis was when you started jobs for youth, which I talked about a little bit in the intro.
Jobs for our future.
Okay.
That's what we called it. And that was just mainly because we started a school first, and then the gang members said if only we had jobs. So we tried to find employers. And we
Couldn't have been
find
easy.
Yeah, we couldn't find that many. So then we started things like a maintenance crew, a landscaping crew, a crew to build our child care center, all made up of members of the 8 warring gangs. And then everything changed in 92, which was April, I guess, end of April, the unrest. And then that's when the LA Times did an article about, you know, why did every pocket of poverty in the city ignite, but the projects didn't, the most likely place, Pico Gardens and Aliso Village. So I said to the reporter, well, I think maybe some of it was because we had 60 strategically hired rival gang members who had a reason to get up in the morning and a reason not to gangbang and a reason not to torch their own community. So the article appeared, and then the next day I was summoned to Ray Stark's. Do you remember who he was?
Of course.
Ray Stark was the movie producer.
Oh, yeah. Big,
Funny
big.
Girl and all sorts of things. He was married to Fanny Bryce's daughter.
Correct.
And she had just died. And so he had $500 million. So he wanted to know, what should I do with my money? So
Oh,
he bought this old bakery across the street from the school, Dolores Mission School, and the Homeboy Bakery was born. So I think when I met you, the bakery hadn't, I don't think it had happened yet.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So it was Ray Stark and his dollars that you squeezed out of him. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So he bought that. And then, he helped later on too with our Homeboy silkscreen and our new headquarters. So yeah, he was a big donor.
But, it's amazing. And I'm sure you're aware, maybe you're not because you're so in the thick of it, but Homeboy Industries and all that you do, you put it very simply, but I'm sure it's not simple. You, if I may quote you, you say, we're in the business of second chances. And that's what Homeboy Industry is.
Yeah. So around the time that I met you, if you can recall, that the demonizing of the gang member, it was the lowest rung,
Sure.
and they were just absolutely demonized, which is why for the first 10 years of Homeboy, we got bomb threats and hate mail and death threats, never from gang members, because obviously we always represented hope to them.
Yeah.
But if you hated gang members, it was a short hop to demonize me for helping them. So
why would people be upset when you're trying to change their lives and keep them from it? That makes no sense.
Yeah, so people always say that when I say it, and it's except that if you kind of remember those days, it was lock them up, round them up, throw away the key, Operation
Like the Trump
Hammer.
administration, like the Trump administration.
Yeah, it was Daryl Gates, and it was demonizing writ large. And so I just remember every morning I'd go to my little storefront office at 7 a.m. and I would, those answering machines that you would rewind, and then I'd play them, but it was kind of PTSD. Every day I would brace myself for really horrible stuff, and that, and a lot of the hate mail was anonymous letters from law enforcement. I'm an LAPD and I hate you. I'm a sheriff and you're part of the problem. Wow. I mean, and it was kind of odd. Now it's hard to even retrieve that memory because we've made so much progress. I think Homeboy, has been hoisted up on the shoulders of, of the city. And because then you remember in those days, it was, are you tough on crime or are you soft? And so, we were seen as, hug a thug, but then the choice became, are you tough on crime or are you smart on crime? And then Homeboy was labeled as smart. And then the tide turned, especially when the bakery burned down in 99. Oh. There was such an outpouring of money that helped us buy our current location where we are, because people went, no, this is not yours anymore. This is ours. And it was a pivotal moment.
Wow. Yeah, it belongs to everyone.
Yeah, it belongs to, that exactly happened, but it didn't before then. We had 10 years of trying to pay our bills, and we still did after that. We still do today, but there was a shift.
And I wonder if that earlier part was also wrapped in racism, since most of the gang members were Latinos.
Totally, or poor kids of color.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
true. We're going to take a look at a little montage of images on what Homeboy Industries is today, and it is mind-boggling. So let's take a look at this little montage. Recycling center, right?
Yeah.
Art, printing art, amazing that you.
Silk screening.
Silk screen, that's fantastic that you have art there. Next, Abelardo. Oh, That must be the homegirl cafe
No, that's the diner, the only place you can get food at City
at
Hall.
City Hall. Oh, right. Did I see, or am I hallucinating? Did I see a homeboys cafe at LAX?
I'd like to say you're hallucinating, but no, that is a, yeah, we're at Terminal 4 and Terminal 3, Delta
Yes.
and American.
Oh, wow. It's not easy to get in there. Next image. Look at that. You can pick up. This is amazing to me. Keep on going, Abelardo. Oh, that's got to hurt. Tattoo removal.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. Can you even grasp, or are you just too much in the middle of it to really savor what was created and what became of that little Jobs for Future program?
Yeah, I don't really think too much about it. I mean, part of it is success has never really been the engine for me. You know, you try to stay faithful. What makes sense to you? What's the approach you want to embrace? What's the disposition and stance of tenderness in the world? And then, anything worth doing is worth failing at. So whatever it is, I try to have a light grasp on all this stuff. I mean, it's amazing. That's true. And, I just think it's, the people are just so extraordinary, and how resilient and sturdy they are in the light of what they've had to carry. And they're just the bravest souls.
Yes.
And I was in the office all day today, and and I've been on the road a little bit, and they just, they're just so extraordinary and funny and gracious and so, affectionate, and they're so, generous in their care, that it's a joy to be with them.
And these young people are so strong that people cannot give up smoking. And your young men and women, they have transformed, they have changed their lives, turned it around. That is an amazing thing. I mean, you've changed thousands of lives. I'm sure that not everyone is able to make that change. And I'm sure you've seen that a lot. And that must be hard for you, of course, like a social worker. I'm amazed you don't burn out, I guess, because your faith is so strong.
No, I thought part of the thing is, you don't go to the margins to fix people or to rescue people or to save people, because if you go to the margins to make a difference, then it's about you, and it can't be about you. But if you go to the margins so that the folks at the margins make you different, then it's about us, and it has to be about us. I never say, there was a PBS guy who ended an interview by saying, how does it feel to have saved thousands and thousands of lives? And I don't mean to be coy or cute about it, but I don't even know what he's talking about, because I don't transform anybody. But I do believe that transformation happens there, that it's a cultural thing. It's people feel safe, and then they feel seen, and then they feel cherished. And if it's true that the traumatized are likely to cause trauma, which I think is true, then it has to be true that the cherished will be able to find their way to the joy there is in cherishing themselves and other people. And that happens there, and it's just a privilege to witness it. But if it's about me, or if it's about success, or if it's about rescuing people, then you're going to get depleted. But if you go out to the margins just to be reached by them, and to allow your heart to be altered, then it's eternally replenishing. So I haven't really experienced burnout, in 30 years. Prior to that, I did. I came perilously close, because when I met you, I was on my bike in the middle of the night, and put that Uzi down. Are you sure you want to shoot that guy?
Yes, I was with you on one of those.
That's when we met. And I but that was crazy, not because of risks or anything like that. It was a bad, paradigm. It was, I'm going to turn the light switch on for you rather than hold the flashlight and aim it in a darkened room at the light switch, and you hope that they will find their way. But I can't, you can't save people. You can only love people. And that came to me the hard way. I mean, it was probably 10 years in when I said, yeah, no, I'm going to stop doing it this way. And I did. And and I've been tired, I've been exhausted, but I've never been close to burnout as I was in those early 10 years.
I remember you left for a while. You went, I don't know where you went.
Well, I finished my time as pastor. And then because I'm a Jesuit, we have this proscribed year, which I took, so it was 10 years or so after my ordination, which is usually when we do it. And so, but I was supposed to come back. That was the big battle, I was told I was going to come back. And then my provincial, and it's a complicated story, but, he said, oh no, we got to find another place for you. And,
Wow.
and then the people kind of went nuts.
I would think.
Because they had told, the provincial had told the people, yeah, after he does this year, he'll be back. And so then finally they had a change in provincial and I came back.
And you were happy about it too.
I was happy to come back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh, it's kind of a vocation within a vocation. And I've been here ever since, so.
You know what? I want to give people your website and a place they can donate and volunteer. It is very simple. It's homeboyindustries.org. I think we have it in graphic. We'll show it a little later, but and also speaking of your website, it is sensational. You guys are very social media savvy. It's fantastic. Not only does it tell you all about all the programs and everything that you do, but they have these transformation stories that they change, and they have something else that I found. Oh, a thought for the day videos. It's a very social media savvy group over there.
So apparently I have a Twitter account, which I didn't really know.
Somebody's tweeting for you, right?
Somebody will say, oh my God, I loved your tweet. I go, I've never tweeted in my life, but have at it. Whatever they want to do, I don't care.
They're amazing what they're doing over there. What began, by the way, as well, you know what? We have two special guests, right? From Homeboy Industries we want to bring on. And before we do, I have a photo of the Global Homeboy Network gathering. I finally got it out. Where's that photo, Abelardo? Can we just see the photo without everything else? I'm going to bring on Miguel Lugo from Homeboy. There you go, Miguel. Oh, look at you're much brighter. When we tested earlier, all we saw was teeth. That's much better. How are you, Miguel?
Good. Thank you for having me here.
No, thank you so much for you. You're working extra late. You guys are there 24/7, it seems anyway. But I want you to tell us, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been there, and when did you first walk through that door at Homeboy?
So I've been at Homeboys now for this December 19 was 8 years.
Wow.
And I walked out of prison after serving 18 years, not knowing what I was going to do.
How many years?
18 years.
Wow.
And I walked out not knowing what I was going to do. I wanted tattoo removal. I had certain tattoos that I needed to get removed. And when that happened, I happened to walk in and actually seen the same guy that jumped me into my gang working for Father Greg Boyle. And when that guy, when I seen him, I asked him, "Can you help me?" He said, "Yeah, I can help you." And so he took me straight into tattoo removal. He went and talked to Father Greg, and the next thing he offered me was therapy, which I thought he was nuts for it. To be honest with you,
You thought he was nuts for offering therapy.
I thought he was nuts for offering me therapy. He told me, "Come on, you need some therapy," and I told him, "I don't know what you're talking about. That's for white people. I don't do that." And he looks at me. He's like, "Dog, I know you since you're a kid. You need that." And right after that, I walked upstairs to talk to Consuelo. I thought I was going to have like a 10-minute conversation. I ended up sitting on her couch for like 3 hours.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of me at Homeboy Industries. After that, it was just, I've been there. I went through the whole program. I've been blessed to actually spend some time with Father Greg, with all the other executives and the other people that are there. They are the leaders of Homeboy Industries. They walked me through some of my my stubbornness, to be honest with you, because I had a lot of stubbornness in me. They walked me through it. Like I got one of my guys. He's my supervisor now. His name is Hector Vertugo. He used to scold me a lot and kind of like yell at me, but then he gave me a position, you know. And he was building me. And at one time, I thought by his talks, it was like, "You're trying to break me," and it was just my own insecurities, to be honest with you. And once he started talking to me and we started building a relationship. So what I understood about Homeboys is Homeboy Industries is all about relationships. If you have a relationship with somebody, it makes everything a lot better. And even in the title that I hold now, it's all about community relations.
Right.
Community relations. It's not about security, and it's not about doing any of that. It's not watching people, it's seeing people to see what is the need. Like as they come through the door, that's my favorite part. My favorite part is to walk my old enemies through that door. For me, that makes my day. When I'm able to walk somebody that at one time I consider an enemy, and I'm like, "What you need, dog? How can I help you?" And I offer therapy to them now. That is the beautiful part of Homeboy Industries, when we're able to do that.
Wow.
And that's just a little bit about me right there. And I get to say now, man, thanks to my wife and all my supporters. I have a lot of supporters, and a lot of them come from Homeboy Industries, including like everything that has to do with substance abuse, everything that has to do with just friends. Actually, it became a family to me.
I was going to say, it's not just relationships. That's a family. That's a family there.
It's a family that you could come and say, "Hey, I need help, and I don't know how to do this," and you can honestly say it. Like be honest, not only with yourself, because coming from the streets, the biggest trouble we always have is asking for help. And when you're able to ask another brother and sister for help, and they don't look down on you, they actually treat you like an equal. That's the beautiful part of Homeboy Industries, when we're able to be two equals talking to each other and saying, "Hey, how did you do this? How come I'm having anxiety attacks? Never happened to me before." And another guy gets to pull you to the side and say, "Hey, it happened to me too."
And no judgment, and no judgment from anyone.
And that's healing. For me, that's the best way. Like I know Father Greg downplays himself, but for me, he's my biggest hero. You know, for me, it's like a lot of people talk about second chances at Homeboy Industries. I said, no, this is my first chance, because before that, I didn't know nothing but gang life, and everything else that was in a negative way. And a lot of times I don't talk about it, to be honest with you, because I don't like to glorify any of that. I just talk about what is our future. And like me at Homeboy Industries, I push all the homies about how can we get a 401k? How can we get you into a 401k? That's my they call me the sidewalk therapist at times, because in the sidewalk, I do that. I talk about, like, for a long time, other people through our pain been getting paid, getting a 401k, police officers, CEOs, probation officers. Today is, how can you get a 401k? How can we get you into a great job that you will never have to sell dope again in your life? And you could be happy to be actually have a safe place to live. And one of the great guys in Homeboy Industries, his name is Robert Juarez, always used to tell me, stability before mobility. I never understood it until now. You know, it took me a long time to understand stability before mobility, because I used to always want to move fast. I wanted everything fast. And he was like, no. Are you stable at home? And I was like, not really. And now that I'm a homeowner and I live with my wife, and she's actually a Kaiser nurse, and we're living good and we understand the stability. And now I can move forward with my life to help other people that are going through the same things that I went through.
And when you were in prison, could you ever have imagined you would be a homeowner with a wife? And I mean, could you even imagine that?
No, to be honest with you, I didn't even imagine getting out. I was an ex-lifer. At one time I had life in prison. So I never even thought about getting out. That's why I like to walk the homeboys to the county jail, because we're only like a block away from county jail, to remind them about the hell that we lived through there at one time. And now we got a yellow building that's a building full of hope. So for me, like when a homie acts up at Homeboy Industries, I walk down to the county with them, maybe smoke a cigarette, come back with a whole different view of life, because it's freedom. Like I really share like my freedom is everything. And I let them know, like, look, remember when we were there? Because a lot of those guys, I was in prison or in county jail with them at one time. And we're able to go back and say, hey, remember that place where you say you never wanted to be at again? We don't have to be there no more. We have a place. It's called Homeboy Industries, you know?
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your story. Homeboy Industries has actually become a blueprint, because you have this wonderful global homeboy network, which is incredible, meaning homeboy industry types are all over the world, not just all over the country, but like 30 countries worldwide. Tell us a little bit about the network. And that photo we saw, were those people that came from everywhere in that gathering? Look at that. Tell us about that.
Wow. So I love the Homeboy Global Network. We get to meet people from all over the world, right? So like for me, I got to go back to Chicago and actually spend some time with the people in Chicago through Homeboy Industries. And I was in the little village out there with like how they're dealing with their violence. And it's just great to see how they put to work and implement different things that we have here at Homeboys in different parts of the world. And we have people from all over. We got people from New Zealand. We got people from like every state in the United States, like this has the same problem that we had at one time. Because now in LA, you don't hear about the violence like that no more, because now somebody, like I always say, like Tupac talked about a thug mansion, we talk about the homie mansion. They have a place to go. We have a place to go, a place to be, a place to be seen. And that's the biggest thing that Father Greg had taught me. Like, we see people, and he seen me, and he gave me an opportunity. And that's what that's my in the Homeboy Global Network, as you see different people from different states that come over, they come and ask us, how does the navigation work, program work? How do you guys do navigation? How do you guys do case management? How do you guys do housing? How do you guys, like, and it's all those questions, and we there all day for 3 days answering questions, all day, every day. And we got some of the guys even take some of these guys back home with them. Like, look, this is the way I live. Like, I had one of my guys that did that, and I was like, wow, like, thank you for making that connection. That's a human connection that Father Greg always talks about. That it doesn't matter where people come from or what, like, we all connected. And to be able to make those connections, the Homeboy Global Network, to be able to say, look, this is the way we're doing it, but you need to make it work for you and your city. And that's what I love about Father Greg, that he always says, like, you can't build a homeboy somewhere else, but you could come to this gold mine and 130 West Bruno and pick up gold nuggets from it to the best of your ability and take them back to your community and build off of this nugget. That's what happens at the Homeboy Global Network. They come to the gold mine, they pick up nuggets, and they take them back home. And they take them back home and they make them their own. And when they make them their own, they make them back to their community.
Father Greg is very good at quotes, isn't he? He really just pinpoints and yeah, I know he doesn't like attention on him, but come on, he's the living end, right? We have another, thank you, don't go away, but thank you so much for sharing your story. And now we have another wonderful person, and we're going to talk about some other things. So zoom in, Erica Carlos.
Hi guys. Hi, I'm good.
Oh, everyone's
Hey.
wearing their swag, huh?
We got to represent.
Okay, extra large, little, I like that one. The t-shirt? Yeah, I like that one. Does it come in red?
They come in all colors. In all the colors you want.
How long have you been at Homeboy? Tell us your story, if you
Okay,
will.
so first of all, I'm honored to be here with you guys. And I got to Homeboys, let me see. I've been at Homeboys, I think in the ending of May. So I would have, I think I'll be going on like 7 years,
Wow.
and time has flew. And when I got there, I was struggling also with being in the hood all the time, and I didn't know how to live, you know. I was institutionalized, and I always thought that I thought that was the life we had to live, you know, growing up, because I had no direction. And when you're in the hood, you think that that's all you know, you know.
Sure.
So
Exactly.
yeah, and it's hard. It's hard because when you're there, that's all you know. You have that mindset of being there, you know. So especially like when you're there, that's the only thing you know is being there. And I've always struggled with addiction also, like towards the end. Not just about the gang life. We always thought that well, I thought that was normal growing up with drugs, because that's how I was raised, you know. My mom was a heroin addict, and there was always drugs in the family. My cousins used to sell drugs, so we ended up selling drugs too. So I thought that was normal. And and being a number, you know, like always being in prison, getting out, going back. Like that was the lifestyle I thought that I was gonna live, you know, being profiled by the cops, by the system, getting out, and it was just like a normal thing, you know. So when I got to Homeboys, I well I have homies that work there. So I used to always see them like doing good. So throughout the years, I was like, man, I'm gonna try Homeboys. So I ended up going, and he talked about Robert Juarez. He was one of my mentors there also. And Hector, I grew up with Hector Verdugo, and with Gabriel Lopez, I grew up with them. And when you grow up in the hood and you see them, so you think like, dang, if they could change, then I could do it too, you know. So I wanted to be like them.
And did that come to you right away, or did you say, oh, this is not for me, or did you
there was a lot of
embrace
things
it?
that I went through in life, you know, where I just got tired of being in the system, and I always thought that my destiny would be either death or doing life in prison, you know, not realizing that that's how you get brainwashed growing up, you know, being out there in the streets. And that wasn't the way I was gonna go. Like God had a purpose for me, and I'm just like so grateful for being where I'm at today. And I never thought that I would be where I'm at. And looking at my homies, you know, going to Homeboys, I was hungry, and I was hungry for it, and I wanted change. When I got there, I had a lot of support from everybody there, and I didn't get that in the street. You know, everybody's for themselves out there, you know, and that's the bottom line. Like you either get busted or you're out there in the hood, and nobody gives a fuck about you. Nobody cares about you out there. You know, you have to you have to survive out there.
And then you probably don't care for yourself.
And I didn't love myself. I didn't love myself out there.
Right.
I didn't love myself, and I realize that now, that when I got to Homeboys, I started working on myself. I had a lot of anger problems, substance abuse, you know, and I was in denial out there. But then I realized, you know what, like I gotta change. I have to do something with myself, or I'm gonna end up doing life in prison, or I'm gonna die. And when I got to Homeboys, I just started working on myself, and that's when the healing process happened, you know. And I came a long way, and I'm just grateful for everybody there too, you know, for my mentors, for G and his vision. And if it wasn't for you, G, we wouldn't all be where we're at today, you know. And
Tell Dan what you do at Homeboy.
what do I do? Okay, I'm a work readiness trainer, supervisor in the bakery, and I have 22 trainees that I mentor there. Wow. And they come from the background too, you know, they don't know how to like
how to they don't know they don't have no like direction in their life either, you know. So I'm there to be their inspiration and to help them grow, you know.
And I'm sure you are an inspiration to them. I think we have a photo of the Homegirl Cafe and the.
Well, I'm in the bakery right now.
No,
yeah,
and
well,
the bakery.
yeah,
I'm
and the
saying,
cafe.
yeah,
Well, the
I
cafe,
know you
yeah.
are. But I just wanted to show the headquarters. That's the headquarters.
Yes.
That's the Homegirl Cafe. I read somewhere how some young men, when they first start the bakery, they're suddenly, you know, wearing hairnets and baking bread next to their rival gang member
Yeah,
there. That's got to be
it's a trip.
something.
Yeah, it's a trip. Now, like I look at people as people, not as like from a hood. That's like the growth that we get there, you know. And it's sad to think about all that, like how we used to be growing up. Like, oh, where are you from? Like, I don't gotta live like that no more. Like, I look at people as humans, like we're us, not
it's
just
so-
like from a hood.
And as Miguel said earlier, I think he did, about, you know, people see you, because otherwise you're invisible. It's like today's homeless problem. You know, they're invisible. You know, you're afraid to do eye contact, and yet you don't want to make them feel invisible. That's terrible. So that you find support. No one judges there, and wow, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you.
Yeah,
Eric.
thank you for having me. And
No. This has been an honor. And you know, I know that pride is one of the 7 deadly sins, but I hope the two of you are proud of yourself. Yes, I said it, Father Boyle. I think they should be proud of themselves.
thank you.
Oh, thank you both. Abelardo, you want to come in?
Hello there. Yeah, that was incredible, very inspirational. And we have a few comments here on Facebook, if you don't mind me reading.
You
We
have
have
4 minutes, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, Mario Juarez, he's saying, hola, Father Boyle and Dan Guerrero, so proud of you, with memories of Señorita Ramona Garcia Coronado. Dino Aguilar says, hi, G, and Dan, this is Dino. He's the rapper there. Says,
He was great. He was
Yeah,
great.
he really, really was. We also have Bernice Gallegos. She says, thank you for sharing this. So important to share and reach someone in need. And then Liz Hernandez saying, this was an amazing story to listen to. Thanks for the inspiration. And Luz Sanchez agrees there's a bigger purpose for all of you. And Michelle Coates says, can't wait to visit Homegirl Cafe on March the 3rd of this year. Anything going on March the 3rd?
No, I think I recognize the name. I think she's just coming for a tour and a meal.
Oh, well, that's a great reason to go.
Yeah.
Laquiles.
Yeah, the food's
is
bomb.
good. And you have a catering service as well, right? It's the Homegirl Cafe and catering.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, no, there was recently read a list of the best places to buy chilaquiles, and Homegirl Cafe was up there.
They have everything now. They have pancakes, quesadillas, burritos. They have everything now.
It's just incredible to me. I mean, I'm hearing these stories and it's incredible. It's incredible.
Well, I do have finally got my mouse under control here. I was having a little bit of difficulty, but I do want to share this for everybody. This is Homeboy Industries, the website that Dan was speaking of, and I do agree it's one of the best websites I've seen. But also, most importantly, if you want to give, there's the email address, giving@homeboyindustries.org.
I want to thank you all so much. Is there any parting words you want, Greg, your Father Greg, or anybody?
It's the
Yeah.
privilege of my life to know Erica and Miguel. Thank you both for staying up, and nice to meet you, Abelardo. And Dan, you're a great friend of many years. Stay well.
Well, we do have a question here. He says, is there a new book coming?
I'm probably not coming, but I said I wouldn't write another one, but I think I'm going to. So
You
at
have
some
to.
point, yeah.
All right, and we have Roberta Martinez says, Homegirl Cafe catered our 40th anniversary. It was a joy to work with them, and the food was delicious.
Wonderful.
And then Fufi Jimenez says, the coffee cake, yum.
Oh, I love coffee cake. Oh, I'm big on coffee cake.
It's world renowned. It's really quite the coffee
Really?
cake, and they send it all over the country.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm
and-
there.
And one of those things that I want to say is when you help a homie, you're not only helping a homie, you're helping the whole community because they go back to their community and inspire the rest of the community. So it's sometimes people think you're helping one person when they're helping us walking in through those doors, but you're helping a whole family, a whole community become part of the community again. And for us, especially the ones that destroyed our community, we want to be part of rebuilding our community. So thank you all, especially all the donors out there that help us out to keep the doors open, because that is what happens in our community at Homeboy Industries.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to share a Zoom with all of you tonight. Thank you so much.
And I give a shout out to my bakery team also.
Yes,
I want to
go.
give a shout out to my bakery team for making it happen, for all the bread they bake and all the hard work they do, and also the cafe workers too. I want to give a shout out to all the team there, especially the bakery though.
Because of the coffee cake. Oh no,
Yeah.
do they make the coffee cake that goes in?
They make all of it. That's where I want to give them a shout out too, and to everybody at Homeboy Industries.
All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Abelardo.
Right, thank you, and thank you all of you that watched tonight's special edition of Dan Guerrero's Happy Hour. This was very inspirational, and it was a treat for all of us. Thank you for joining us, Cristina Angiano, Dino Aguilar saying, "I love you, G," and all of you that joined us on Zoom and Facebook Live. If you didn't catch the entire episode, or if you'd like to see the session one more time, we're taping it. We'll be posting it on our YouTube page at La Plaza LA. It also lives on our Facebook page at La Plaza LA and on our website, along with all the other Dan Guerrero happy hours at lapca.org. Dulce Stein, thank you for this. Blessings. Well, thank you, Dulce, for joining us. Catch us next time. We'll be in a couple of weeks. We'll have Dan Guerrero speaking with Susie Garcia, a mariachi maven, a mariachi a genius who has her group Las Colibri, but she's also a mentor to so many women mariachi players here in Los Angeles. So catch us next on the 23rd at 7 o'clock here on Dan Guerrero Happy Hour on Zoom or Facebook Live. And with that, thanks so much again to our sponsors, Kaiser Permanente and Union Pacific Foundation. Check us out. All of our events coming up at lapca.org or on our Facebook page at La Plaza LA. Again, tomorrow night, the Son Jarocho group that will be there at 7 o'clock, along with La Marisol, special guest. And then on Saturday, we have Tamarindo y Jamaica documentary in honor of Black History Month. And then on Tuesday, on Valentine's Day, Lovers Rock at Grand Park, where La Plaza Cocina will have a special pop-up exhibition along with some free hot chocolate. So come on down. We hope to see you there. Okay, muy buenas noches a todos y nos vemos pronto. Hasta la próxima. Bye-bye, Diana Ortelli and Mario Hernandez. Conga Patria. Thank you, Mario. And Mario was the one who did the video that opened up the show. So thank you to Mario. Thank you to the staff of La Plaza de Cultura y Artes and our board of trustees for making it all possible. I'm gone. Bye-bye.